what to keep and what to let go of. Sometimes it's not always an easy choice. So here are some ways to help you figure out which of your papers you should keep versus let go of. Now, this is not always an easy answer, and it's different for everybody. So do what's right for you and consult your own advisors on anything that you're not sure of. I am not a professional advisor, so use your best judgment. But in my line of work and with my experience that I have, these are the general guidelines that I've gathered that will help you out. First off, I did want to let you know, in the VOP membership area, I have posted a how long to keep important documents cheat sheet. So if you are a VOP member or if you join the VOPs, then you can download this, and this is a great way to keep right next to you, great paper to keep right next to you, that will tell you what to keep for a month, for a year, for 7 years, indefinitely. It gives you some ideas, and you can reference this as you sort. Other than that, we'll kind of go through this a little bit, and we'll talk about some of the questions to ask. Now, I mentioned questions to ask. Whenever I'm trying to decide whether something is a keep or a go, there are some key questions that I ask myself about the paper, just to make sure that I'm making the right choice for me. The first question that I always ask is, what is the worst that could happen? So for an example, an insurance policy. What's the worst thing that would happen if I did not have this paper and I needed it? Most likely, it would not be too bad because I could call the insurance agency, or even nowadays just go online and get a copy of that policy. It might be inconvenient, but it's not the worst thing in the world. I'll try to keep my policy, but I won't necessarily worry too much if I can't find it. This is also something where maybe I will scan my policy and keep just the PDF of it and not necessarily the hard paper copy. Otherwise, think about maybe taxes. If you did not have a tax document during an audit, either a scan of it or the original, there could be some bigger repercussions. So that could be a lot more difficult. That would be much worse. So as I'm looking at this, maybe think about electric bill. If you did not have your electric bill and you wanted to look something up, a past electric bill, what's the worst that would happen? Probably not anything too major, because you can call the electric company and have them send you a copy. They might charge you $1 or something, but it's not too bad. It's not the worst thing in the world. So question number 1 was, what's the worst that could happen? Question number 2, how likely is it that I'll even need this? There are so many papers that we keep that we never actually need again, because we're just keeping them out of either fear or not wanting to make the decision at the time. And I'm going to encourage you to always try to simply make decisions as soon as something comes to you. Don't keep it just in case, and don't put it off for later. If you start making the decisions as soon as it comes up, then this new habit will become second nature, and it will be so much easier, and you'll be so much more clutter-free. Now, when you're thinking about how likely will I need this with papers, here are a couple of examples. Back to the electric bill. How likely are you to really need that electric bill? That one in particular. Most likely, you rarely actually look up your old electric bills. Most of the time, the only thing we need them for is if we have to maybe prove our residence, in which case the newest electric bill that has just come in will work for that. They don't want the really old ones anyway. So as far as how likely you are to need it, you're very unlikely to truly need your old electric bill unless it's for something like tax purposes. Now, what about maybe like a living will? How likely are you to need that? Well, it's quite likely that if something happened to you in the future, that you would need that living will. So that's probably a really good one to keep. So how likely will I need this is something that you can ask each of the papers that you hold, figure out how likely is it that I will actually ever look this up again. For example, a manual for your blender. How likely is it that you are actually going to go find the manual in your filing cabinet if you need to figure something out? Well, I know I won't. I'll probably just push buttons or look on YouTube or Google it to figure out how to do whatever it is I want to do. It's very unlikely that I'm going to go back to my file cabinet to find the manual for my blender. Now, if it's something like a very fancy camera with a million different technical things, that I'm more likely to find the manual for, so that might be a manual that I would keep, but the blender can probably go. It's not going to be the end of the world if I don't have it, and I most likely would not even look for it if I needed it. And then question number 3, how easily can I get this again? Once the paper's gone, it does not necessarily mean that you can never find that information again. So for example, a flyer. If your kid brought home a flyer for the school dance, which happened with us recently, and it gets lost, that's not a big deal. Trust me, the school will probably already automatically send you 5 more before the dance ever happens. And if you call the school, they will gladly send you another flyer. Now, if it's your birth certificate, how easily can you get that again? Well, I know this one from experience because when I was younger, my birth certificate was lost. So when I got older, I found that I not only needed to contact the small Iowa town that I was from, mail them a physical check and wait for them to mail me back a certified copy of my birth certificate, which was definitely a big pain, but also it was not the original birth certificate. It did not have the footprints on it, and it was not that fun memorabilia that most birth certificates are. So I can't get the official original birth certificate again. I can get a certified copy that will work for anything legally that I need, but I would definitely keep the birth certificate because it's not easy to get again, and I can't really even get it in its original form. But I would let go of the flyer if I'm not sure. I'd probably take a picture of it, scan it, let it go. Once it's gone, I will not be missing it too much. Another example is a bill. If you did let go of all of your electric bills, and you never kept a single one, but then you needed to prove your residence, well, online you can probably get a copy of your most recent bill, and you'll really only need the most recent one to prove your residence. Or you can also look back. Most of the time it's at least 12 months back. I know my electric company goes even further back than that. So I always have it available online, and if I didn't, I could call the electric company, and for a small fee, they can mail it to me in the rare event that I would ever possibly need one that was over a year old. So I could easily get it again if I needed it, and I'm not very likely to ever need it in the first place. So those are some of my favorite questions to ask when I'm deciding on keep or go. Use those 3 questions as you sort to help make your keep or go decisions. Now remember, question number 1 was what's the worst that could happen? Question number 2 is how likely am I to need this again? And question number 3 is how easily could I get it again if I let it go? Those are your key questions. Make sure to grab your How Long to Keep Important Documents download from the VOP section if you're a VOP member, and then you'll have a good cheat sheet for how long to keep things. For example, I'll just read it for if you're not a VOP member. Keep for 1 month, credit card receipts until you've verified it on your statement, ATM withdrawal and deposit slips just until you've reconciled them, purchase receipts, keep it just for the length of the returns period or when you've decided that you don't need to return it, catalogs and magazines, keep it just until the next issue. If you've not read it by then, you probably won't be reading it. Keep for 1 year. Paycheck stubs, just keep them long enough to reconcile them against your W-2 at the end of the year. Monthly credit card statements. This is up to you. I don't keep my credit card statements because they are accessible online. And then I just save them as a PDF at the end of the year. I go through and save all of them in one shot when I do my taxes. But you can keep your credit card statements until you receive your annual summary or until you've made sure that everything has reconciled correctly, or with your taxes for 7 years if you need them for tax purposes. Medical bills, you can keep them if you need them for tax purposes. Make sure to keep them the 7 years or as long as you keep your tax documents. Or you probably only need them until you've shown that it has been reconciled, the payment has been received, and everything is cleared. Monthly bank statements, exactly the same as the credit card statements and the medical bills. Any monthly brokerage, mutual fund statements, just until you get that annual summary when you can reconcile against it. That's as long as you would need to keep it, if you're even the type to do that. If you don't reconcile against it, then there's no point in keeping them that long. The same with monthly retirement account statements. If you don't reconcile them, then don't worry about necessarily keeping them that long. But if you are the type that would reconcile against your end of year statement, go ahead, keep them for 1 year. And then if you want to check a billing pattern, or you need them for tax purposes to verify amounts at the end of the year, go ahead and keep your utility bills for the year. Otherwise, you can probably just let them go, or at the end of the year, access them online. Things to keep for up to 3 years. Expired contracts and leases. Once the life of the contract is up, then you will want to go ahead and keep it an additional 3 years. A lot of times I just keep mine with my taxes, so that way when I purge my tax information, those go out with it. Insurance policies, keep it as long as the statute of limitations in the event that you have any late claims. You can do that, keep the policy either scanned or the paper policy. Keeping for 7 years, this has a lot to do with taxes. So depending on how long you keep your tax documents, most of us do 7 years for all the supporting documents just to be safe, but keep your W-2s, your other documents for tax returns, your year-end brokerage, retirement account, and other savings summaries. Any sold stock and bond records, you're going to keep them for 7 years after you've sold them. Tax returns, and actually the return itself, you're supposed to keep indefinitely, but you can keep a scanned copy. So the form that you actually file itself, you'll keep that forever, and all the supporting documents are for 7 years. Any real estate upgrade and repair documents, you can keep it for 7 years from the sale of your home, because that would go along with your tax purposes. 1099s, other tax forms, year-end credit card statements, medical receipts if they're tax related, investments, the purchase or sale records, and real estate records for 7 years after the sale of the property. Now, some things you will want to keep for as long as you own. Any appliances and major purchases, the receipts for those, a lot of times I just attach the receipt right to the warranty book or the manual, and then I will keep that as long as that warranty period, or depending on the appliance, for the life of the appliance. Any household upgrade and repairs, as long as you own the house, keep those receipts, or at least until the warranty expires. Any art, antiques, jewelry, valuable appraisals, any of those receipts, those you want to keep as long as you have that valuable item. Your automobile records, as long as you have that automobile, you'll want to keep it, the title, the registration, any major repairs. A lot of times the minor repairs we don't necessarily need for your oil changes and things like that, unless you did want to keep a record of how you cared for the car if you plan to sell it in the future. And even if you're planning to sell it in the future, generally it's just if you're selling it outside of a dealership. The dealership does not usually care too much how often you got the oil changed. And any stock and bond records, you'll want to keep as long as you have that stock or bond. And then indefinitely, you'll want to keep anything like a divorce decree, a marriage record, a birth certificate, any of your military official records, social security records, wills, all of those important documents. Basically, a lot of what's in your Spark Life Binder, you'll want to keep indefinitely. Any final judgments from lawsuits, make sure to keep those indefinitely as well. Medical records, I like to keep test results indefinitely, just in case you ever can't get your hands on a very old test. It's good to have that. Or a procedure that you had, it's good to have a record of that available. Retirement and pension documents, and any educational certificates or diplomas, you'll want to keep those indefinitely as well. Now, just because you're keeping it does not mean you can't keep a scanned copy instead of a paper copy. That's up to you, but this should give you a good idea of how long to keep certain papers. If you are questioning anything else that I did not cover, feel free in the comments, ask me. Ask whatever paper you happen to have that you're not certain if you need to keep, and myself and the community, we can all help you answer that question, and then you can make your own decision. So in the comments below, write whatever you might still have a question about, and you've got this. There's almost nothing that you can let go of that would be life-changing. And if you have your Spark Life Binder, you can pretty much guarantee that there's nothing that you could let go of that would be outside of that binder that you would absolutely need. So go forth, make your decisions, be bold, be brave. I promise it gets so much easier the more you do it, and you will feel so confident once you've seen how smooth and lean your system is and how much you never did need those papers. If in doubt, scan it. I will talk to you later. Have a great day, and I love you.